Hey, everybody. Thank you for waiting for us. It's my fault, but I wanted to make absolutely certain that you're ready and I'm ready for what you're about to experience um, because we're about to talk about one of the scariest movies
Of the year.
of the year, and I've seen in quite a while. Uh, and we're doing it with my longtime friend now, I think I can say, Jessica Dwyer, who is I want to call you now the queen of horror movie vloggers. Can I and bloggers? Can I do that?
Uh, yeah, yeah, sure. I don't think that's true, but we'll go with it. I'll take it. I shall
is there
take it.
is there is there a sisterhood among you there?
There are a lot of female horror bloggers now that I'm very happy to see, and it's about freaking time. And the girls are
Freaking
coming
time!
in.
Freaking time!
Freaking time. We've come into our own. There are a number of women that are writing for Fangoria magazine and are in charge of Fangoria magazine, part of the hierarchy of Fangoria. And you have Diana Prince, Darcy the Mel Girl, who is writing for Fangoria now and has just represented hardcore. I love her. You've got Elvira, who is the goddess, who has written her memoirs and is a horror fan of her own right. You've got um, the director of Candyman, which it was fantastic, who is a woman. And I mean, it's great to see all of this happening. I'm very, very stoked that this is all going on. And another great film this year that came out that I just saw that if everybody needs to go see is Ghostbusters Afterlife, not
Ooh,
directed by a woman, but the all you naysayers out there can just jump off a cliff, because the lead of that film is a brilliant actress named McKenna, and McKenna plays Phoebe, who is one of the most awesome characters ever, and she's a girl. Okay, the lead in Ghostbusters Afterlife is a woman, and it is brilliant. She's funny, she's smart, and McKenna Grace is her name, and she also sings the end credits song as well.
oh,
So women are coming into their own when it comes to the horror genre, and it's about time. And Yeah, I'm really excited. And one thing that I won't go into it on this in this episode because this is all about Halloween Kills. Hey, David. Um,
David! Woo! All right.
but the one thing that
Still on a t-shirt, a sweatshirt. Sorry, go ahead.
but the one thing I was going to say was one studio that really was ahead of the game when it came to women and female monsters and female characters in horror was Hammer Studios. And at some point or other, I will be talking about that. We just had the birthday of the late great Ingrid Pitt, who was one of their main actresses and created Carmilla Karnstein, who was the badass vampire in their films. So yeah, I think it's great. And one of the icons that helped champion in this is Jamie Lee Curtis,
Mm-hmm.
who has created not only a badass horror icon in Laurie Strode, but has shown the older chicks can still kick butt and be relevant, be amazing, be strong, and have a franchise, just like Sigourney Weaver did with Aliens. Uh, you got Jamie Lee Curtis just beaten down and taking names in this movie and showing a toughness and a realness that's fantastic with a character like Laurie.
I gotta ask you, how long did it take you to get that? Were you stoked when you got it? Because I'm like, yeah, this is bad. This is awesome. This is like something that is, well, I mean, let's put it this way: Jessica has interviewed Mads Mikkelsen, a lot of top actors. But it's
Um,
Jamie Lee Curtis.
the thing that the thing that's amazing about Jamie Lee Curtis was I had actually met her in person at a horror hound convention. The only one time she ever did a horror convention was Horror Hound Weekend, and we built the show around her, and every penny she made went to charity. And she said, "I'm going to do it the one time. That's it, and I want to do it for this charity." And she was like a machine. Like, she did not stop the whole weekend. She was signing autographs and doing all that. And it was cool because her sister was there with her filming it for like a documentary. And it just was awesome. And I got to be there there was a fan of hers who we actually had to put in a ramp for this person for her to get to Jamie because she was in a wheelchair. But she had cancer, and her one wish was to meet Jamie, and her friends and everybody got her there, and she got to meet Jamie, and she passed away I think a couple weeks or more, or maybe a month or so after. So it was beautiful to see this happen, and it was such a we had people coming from Japan because they knew Jamie Lee Curtis didn't do this. She didn't do cons. That wasn't her thing, but she did this one-time appearance. And I got to meet her at this show, and she was just so nice. Like, she was business, right? But she was sweet to everybody. She was no nonsense. She was kind, and she brought I have a photo that is my Twitter profile pic of me with her, and she had the clapboard from Halloween with her, the one that they used in the original movie with her still. And it had like, she was taking care of it, and she's like, I need to, we need to preserve this thing because it's like, at that point it was like 30 years old or something. And
I'm gonna go to your Twitter account. I'm gonna go to your Twitter account and get it real quick.
But she had that with her. So in the pictures she was taking with the fans, she would hold that up. And so you had the actual clapboard from the shooting in your photo with you. So a couple years later, when they started doing, and they made Halloween in 2018, I got to go on the set of that movie. And so I was there. I got to see a Myers kill in person. And I got to interview David Gordon Green. I got to interview Danny McBride.
Oh, by the way, the pictures on your Twitter account, or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. It was on my Twitter. Yeah.
Let me
see if
it's still there. Now,
yeah. Oh, wait. No, I switched it to Peter Capaldi. I'm sorry. I switched it to Peter Capaldi. I'll have to find it. I have it somewhere.
Okay.
But it was amazing because I got to meet, everybody was at the show, like at this, it was on the set. We got to go to Haddonfield, and Haddonfield was North Carolina at this time. And we got to go on the set, and I got to see, if you've seen Halloween 2018, the scene where the babysitter gets it when Michael is hiding in the closet, which is a brutal kill. And so that was the scene I was actually watching get filmed. So you get to see him just burr, like.
What was that like? What was that like? Share that, please. What was that like?
So what was crazy about getting to be there, the thing that was insane was I got to meet, and at the same time we interviewed the two of them together. Nick, who, hold on, my dogs are being crazy. 1 second. I'm going to mute my mic for a moment while I yell.
Hi, doggies. Hey. Oh, and by the way, folks, we have actually part of her interview with Jamie Lee Curtis here. We're going to talk about that too. I'm holding up so I'll give you a bit of a hint of what's to come here.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I really appreciate it. Of course. So I'm going to pick your brain unmercifully because I am really excited. I'm really excited about Halloween Kills. So I'll start off with, were you surprised by the success of the first film in this new trilogy? Because it just blew up. It was massive. Yes. To answer your question, yes. I don't. I try not to go into things with a pre-digested idea of what it is going to be and what the
folks, that's
to it's
part of her interview. I want to ask you that.
Sure.
When we get to that, I was surprised that she was surprised that was a success. I mean, I didn't expect it to bomb, right? But
no, and I think what she's saying there is she doesn't go into any project with a level of this is going to just blow up and be the biggest thing since sliced bread, and she had a reason to believe that, because hold on a second. There, take that. This is the fun thing of live streaming and dogs. So the thing that she's saying there, and the reason I think she had a reason, the fandom loves Halloween. And previously, the last time we had anything to do with Halloween was Rob Zombie's Halloween, which I won't even go into my thoughts and feelings of Rob Zombie's Halloween.
You didn't like it?
I can't. I'm not speaking. But so that was the last time we had anything of Michael Myers. And the other part of it was the way David Gordon Green and Danny McBride created this, which was they were wiping the slate. This wiped away the entire franchise other than the first movie. And on top of that, you were having the focus go to Laurie Strode, who we all know was and is considered an icon in horror films. But you're talking about a film that it bypassed not just the fandom in terms of popularity, which we were going to go see this, no matter what, but it blew up because of just how smart that movie was and how they took it and what they did with it. I absolutely love the fact that they used this movie as a way of showing how women can persevere over the worst trauma and attacks, and how that kind of stuff passes in a family. And it was just so smart in how they did it. And having a woman who's middle-aged, we're gonna, let's call it what it is. She's a middle-aged woman who is the star of the movie, other than the guy with a mask on, right? And there's no guarantee that's going to be a hit. Look what happened with the Terminator movie. When they brought back, it was around the same time they brought back Linda Hamilton, but with that film, the message was more pounded at home with a mallet. That's the subtlety of what they were trying to say was as subtle as Wile E. Coyote getting an anvil dropped on his head.
Mm-hmm.
But with Halloween, it was a lot more subtle, but still, prevalent and smart and well written. And well acted.
Halloween, as I'm putting up here, made $256 million.
It blew up
at the box office against a budget of just, get this, folks, and you're going to see the graphic in a second. Voila, $10 million.
Yeah. And part of that is because of who released it, which is Blumhouse. Jason Blum and company are just smart about how they go about horror films. And
why is that? Why?
they know that Jason Blum is sort of like the Roger Corman of modern times, because he's business. He's smart. He's the money, and he knows. Okay, and what he's smart about is, I'm going to give you, the ability to do your film, and I'm going to give you the ability to do the film the way you want to. But here's the limitations that you have, and here's the budget. But I'm going to let the artists do what they do. And that's how you get movies like Halloween that blows up and makes like 300% profit. And then you have movies like, let's see, God, he just, like The Invisible Man, which got nominated for an Oscar. It may have won, I can't remember, but he, like with Lee Winnell and guys like that, he knows, okay, these guys know what they're doing. I don't need to be a know all be all person when it comes to the horror genre. I just need to know that these guys know what they're doing, and I trust them here. I'm going to give you carte blanche to make the movie that you want to make, but here's what you have money wise. Go for it. And he knows that horror always typically will turn a profit. And in this case, you had a known quantity with Halloween. You had a major actress coming in and saying, okay, I'm here. What are we going to do? And you had really smart, savvy guys writing and creating. And you had a name like Danny McBride, who everybody's like, what? Mm-hmm. The guy with great big teeth, and blowing up stuff and Tropic Thunder is writing a horror movie. And he did a great job. And David Gordon Green, just amazing dude. I interviewed him as well for Halloween Kills. And he is just really smart. He's around, I think he might be a little bit older than me, but he grew up in the time of, like I did, where VHS and cable and access to all of these films and these old school horror flicks. And he's a massive Jaws nerd. He loves Jaws. He came on Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs and with Jason Blum. And they were on there talking about Halloween Kills. And he had a t-shirt that he had got from back in the day. I think it was I want to say it was a Frankenhooker t-shirt, but he had that, and Joe Bob recognized what it was from, and it was the one that he got when he was a teenager, like 20 years old. He still had it. And I mean, that's nerdery. I respect you, sir. You go. Godspeed. Yeah. And I trust you. So that's why this movie succeeded in a way that a lot of movies could have fallen on their ass. And Jamie Lee Curtis, there's my dogs. Nilla. 1 second. God.
Huh.
She's just over a year old.
Maybe
it's 50. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, man, I watched Halloween Kills the night it got released on Peacock, and it was the first time that I actually got freaked out by a Halloween movie. And I actually was doing one of these numbers, because that's the thing that David Gordon Green did with Michael. I really, really liked, which is exactly what Carpenter had done with Michael originally, which was they have the whole trilogy part with the Mark of Thorn and all of that. Give me the guy that is the great white shark from Jaws on land, that all he's doing, he's got a goal, and if you're in front of him, he's going to kill you, and that's it. There's nothing personal. It's just what he does, and that's the horrifying part.
There's also a part of him that is not just superhuman, but also unreal.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing I liked too, was they aged Michael, And that was one of the things before the dogs decided to start barking that I was going to mention was that James Jude Courtney, who plays Michael in the action scenes, is the age of Michael would be. He's tall, he's gray haired, strong dude, and he's like in, I think, like early 60s. So he's the exact age that Michael would be.
So
Hi, Eric.
You took the words out of my mouth. Hey, Eric, welcome. How you doing? Nice to have you here. So basically, you're saying that Michael Myers is now in his 60s.
Correct. And the thing that I was going to say was I got to meet and interview at the same time when I did that set visit, James and Nick, who played the original Shape. I would say I know a thing or two about horror movies if I'm an expert.
Well, can I answer that? Yes, she is. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Moving along. So
sure. All right. But I got to interview the two of them together, and what was great about that interview was both of them were decked out like Michael. They both had the jumpsuit on, and both of their hands were covered in blood. And they're sitting there, and I'm right next to James Jude Courtney, and he's out of the mask. He's just him. But there's something about this guy. He's just he's you could tell he's in that zone still. And I'm talking to him, and I can't remember what I asked that got to this story, but it was the most unnerving thing that he could have said while I was sitting next to him with his hands covered in blood. And it was he said that they were filming it was his Christopher Lee moment, basically, because in Lord of the Rings, Christopher Lee, when he was filming, had been talking to Peter Jackson about, Peter, I that's not how a man reacts when you stab him. and Peter Jackson, well, what? He's like, no, this is the sound. Oh. And it's because the air leaves the body once the knife goes in. I know. Just trust me, I know. And it's because he actually killed Nazis in World War II as part of the special forces for Britain at the time. And he killed guys with a knife. So he knew what the sound was like and how a body reacted once it was stabbed, because he's Christopher effing Lee and he's Dracula, but also he was special forces for Britain during World War II. And Peter Jackson's like, oh, okay. Like, all right. Well, that was the moment I had with James Jude Courtney, because he something, I wish I could remember. I'd have to pull the audio, but I said something and he started talking about the fact that they were filming those scenes of, like I was talking about, the one where the babysitter gets out, just brutally done. Everybody gets brutally done, but I got to watch that happen. And he said that he had lived with, he was going to write a book. James Jude Courtney was going to write this book about a hitman, a mafia hitman, his real true story. And the hitman, he lived with him for a few, like some months. And he described to James Jude Courtney how it was to kill a person and how the body reacted and what happened when you murdered someone in graphic detail. And so when he's doing these scenes, he said, I know what it's supposed to be like. And I was telling David how, this is what the way it should go. This is how this would react. This is how the body would fall. This is because I knew from living with this guy and the stories he told me how a murder went down and how a person would be when they died. And I was like looking at him like,
doesn't that make you feel a little creepy?
More than a little, because like I said, he's a large dude and his hands were as red as this Coke bottle in blood, dried blood from shooting.
And I have to say, Jessica, that what that reminds me of is what I believe is the tacit decision to be civil. What I mean by that is we're all capable of going around the clock in terms of personalities and capabilities, right? But we make a tacit decision, I believe, not to do certain things based on how we regard other people, how we regard ourselves, and other things. So in my case, I'm thinking, man, that's not something I even want to think about because I don't want to have an idea of me as that kind of person.
Right. And but his
it takes a certain kind of actor to want
right. Well, and also he's a writer too. So he was delving into this darkness for this book, and I respect that. Although I wouldn't live with a known hitman. But it's that insight, knowing that would bring more to the part, and a part that really you need to be able to somehow you need to be able to somehow emote through a blank slate. And that's why it's called The Shape.
And that gives me an opening to ask you about this next part of the conversation you had with Ms. Curtis right here.
And I'm a sort of a cheerleader when I work, and I require that the crew wear name tags the first week of shooting so that I can get to know people's names because everybody knows mine. And I don't like the inequity in that. And whenever I work, I do that. And so I had established that at the beginning of the movie. And now here was my last day on the movie, shot at night, out in the middle of nowhere against a fence in a, and there's this little truck and it's surrounded by lights and cameras. And as I, was told it was time to go shoot, as I was walking toward the set, I noticed that the set was silent. And the entire crew was standing in silence, and they were all wearing name tags. Uh-huh. And the name tags read, "We are Laurie Strode."
Oh, that's amazing.
And what that told me, well, first of all, emotionally what it did for me is it literally flipped my switch. I was gone from the moment I arrived. But it really showed me that we were doing something. That the crew understood what we were doing. That they understood the trauma that Laurie Strode has been carrying for 40 years. And that they were shouldering their part of it, saying, we are all with you in this moment of your trauma and grief.
Yep.
And that's unusual on a movie. And I noticed it. I was like, wow, that's amazing. And so I bring that up because that's an example of where I didn't know what we were doing was going to be special, and yet I think I did.
Well, and one thing about...
That's why I want to stop that, because with that, why was it so important for her, in your opinion? Let me take this another way. When I first heard that, I thought, my God, she was actually traumatized to the point where she probably didn't realize how traumatized she really was in terms of internalizing the story of Halloween Kills until her own crew did that, which means they were affected by the story too, right?
Well, and I think part of the it's such an important story in especially right now. And at the time that this was being filmed, you had a lot of stuff happening in the news, like Harvey Weinstein was happening. You had the Caligula with a comb over in the White House happening. And comb over Caligula. That's so you had him in there. You had all of this Me Too stuff happening at that time. And so, violence and trauma to women was such a big thing. And also, and I time wise, I don't know if this was occurring for her, but I know that her daughter was transitioning her, so she's got a trans daughter, and I can only imagine the stuff that the kid was going through as well. So I can guarantee you it was very important for Jamie Lee Curtis, and just from the conversation that I had with her, to show a woman who had been just destroyed by an event and had come through it and was still strong and wanted to protect her children and her daughter and her granddaughter, and wanted to stop this from happening to anyone else. And it was a really important message. And that's what I think, that's a strong film. It doesn't have to be that's just a strong film. It doesn't have to be a Halloween movie. It just happens that it's based in this mythology you've already got. And with just how much gravitas and power she brought to that part, like, you could see her be broken. She's broken. And I think they all knew on the set why this was important to her and why she would come back to this, because she'd already ended this with H2O. H2O was supposed to be the end, and they made her come back for that horrible movie that followed that up, and they killed her immediately in that. So Laurie Strode was dead. In a movie where Busta Rhymes ends up beating Michael Myers to death with a baseball bat. Okay.
I missed those two. Wait, which one was that one? I got to go back and look at the other ones.
That was Halloween Resurrection.
Resurrection.
I want to say that it's the one with Busta Rhymes coming in going trick or treat, and it's like. And funnily enough, I think Dimension Films did that.
Did they have him in slow motion, or you? Oh,
which was Dimension Films, I think, was the ones that released that, and that's the Weinstein Company. Yeah, thanks. We got effed again by Harvey Weinstein.
Back
to my. Okay, so
horror is being taken a lot more seriously, and I love that, because it should. And also, like with this film, it's a good metaphor and a good story talking about trauma and talking about how we deal with it. And I just wondered if you could give your thoughts on that, about using the genre for something like this.
Right. Well, here's what I will say. Danny and David are prescient people. They have future sense. They have a sensitivity. They wrote a movie about perpetual trauma against women way before Me Too occurred. And we made that movie before Me Too occurred. And yet it coincided with this revolution of generations of trauma against women coming to the forefront. And that was gratifying, that you could actually take something, as you said, and elevate it to a more important conversation. The same thing has occurred, and I know you've been given limited access as to what Halloween Kills is about.
Oh, yeah.
At the time of this interview, by the way, this was done 2 years ago, because that was when the movie was supposed to come out.
Right.
And we hadn't seen anything we'd only seen a bits of the one trailer that got released. That's it. So no one really knew a lot about the movie at all. And so all I knew was that this one was bringing back original cast members. Anthony Michael Hall was playing Tommy, who was awesome. By the way, I interviewed him for this movie as well. And he just, I love him.
I saw it on Peacock. Yeah.
Yeah, he just, I love him as a person too, because he's been through a lot of stuff and he just was so thankful to be a part of this. And he was stalking Halloween fan sites. As he got this part, he delved, face first into the mythology and the fandom, and he was going on and finding all the YouTube sites and stuff for Halloween fans, and there's a lot. And he just goes,
the way he could be brought back.
Well, I doubt it. I doubt he's coming back. I think this movie kind of confirmed he's not coming back.
It's Hollywood,
Nah, this is it. That you're getting your trilogy, and this is going to be it. I'm pretty sure. Halloween Ends is pretty definitive for a title.
You have a lot of what that story is going to be about. Well, let's get to that in a second because we want more of this. I don't want to play too much of this because I want to upload all of it, but this is juicy. This is. Hold on a second.
There's a reason for that. And it's not out of some, crazy control freak nature. It's because you need to let movies be what they are, when they're released, rather than have them pre-digested, pre-discussed, pre-analyzed before they're ever on a screen.
Like it used to be.
Right, which is what happens now with the advent of the internet.
Right.
And so I respect the privacy to try to uphold the integrity of the movie that we all went out and made for the audience that it's intended for. But I will tell you that this is a movie about collective rage. You see, in the first Halloween movie, in the 2018 movie, we made a movie about Laurie Strode and her daughter and granddaughter, 3 generations of trauma. How that trauma is passed through the generations. But we forget that Laurie Strode was not the only victim of Michael Myers. There were numerous victims, women that he killed and men. And they have families. And then there are people that he tried to kill and escaped him. And they have lives that have been affected by the trauma that Michael Myers has inflicted on them. And what David and Danny did so beautifully years ago was realize that trauma is not just Laurie Strode's. It's collective. It's an entire town. It's an entire group of people who are traumatized by violence. And what happens when that group of people get angry?
Yeah.
So that's a good part to stop at because that's the juicy bit.
I have a question about that myself. But I was also thinking about something that has really come to my attention since I redesigned Oakland News Now to be a YouTube news aggregator. The number and the way it's set up now, folks, is that we have news that comes from a number of different YouTube channels representing now Portland, Oregon's news station, Bay Area, Seattle, San Diego, New York, Miami, Al Jazeera. And there's one pattern that I noticed. There's a lot of killing. And on a par with what is in this movie. And I am consistently shocked at how we as a society are bombarded with this news and images many, many times a day. And so I think it has, no pun intended, reshaped a movie like Halloween Kills or a Halloween series because to a degree, it is real. You have people who are out there who are nuts like that,
Yeah.
and they have to be dealt with. I mean, when I first started uh, being here on a regular basis for my mom, I put in security doors downstairs, and those guys said, "You really want to keep people from coming in here, don't you?" And I said, "Yeah."
Well, well, one thing that I took from this, what this film's about, and what I see every day now. I just watched Jon Stewart's new show on Apple. Is fantastic. It's called The Problem with Jon Stewart, and I just watched the Guns episode, and he had a clip of a local news network that was talking about a mass shooting, and we're going live to blah blah blah, and they cut to live, and it's the girl got flustered. She's like, wait, oh yeah, I forgot about the other mass shooting. So there were two at the same time, same day, and there were so many that she got confused.
Yeah, that happened to me today. We had a mass shooting, high school.
Yeah, we don't even make the news anymore.
Right.
And it's like, what the hell?
Right. And actually, they do make the news. But my point is, and that's why I designed Oakland News Now the way that I did. I didn't have an intent to see this, but I've always been obsessed with what the zeitgeist is and what comprises it, right? And a lot of what we're talking about with Halloween Kills makes up the zeitgeist today.
Yeah, well, and that's part of it.
I have that because I have a coup de grace question I'm getting to.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was going to say the one thing that also I took from this film, which it encapsulates and is creepily timed, is the mob mentality.
Right.
And yeah, and how that scene in the hospital it just speaks to, we have and especially with stuff like the Rittenhouse thing, where we're fine with little Lord asshole going across state lines to be the big man with a gun, and what happened with that.
Driven them by his mother, let's not forget.
Yeah, who didn't get in trouble at all, and who is 38 years old and looks twice my age. I'm 10 years older almost than Kyle Rittenhouse's mother, and she looks like Zelda Rubinstein in freaking Poltergeist. So, evil will out is all I'm saying. But it's that mob mentality of one guy. You've got Tommy, who maybe is trying to do good. He's trying to do good, but he lets this rage overtake him to the point that he puts the entire town in danger because of what he's doing and getting them stirred up. Like, evil dies tonight. Evil dies tonight. Yeah. And they go off and they don't care who they hurt at this point. They're not thinking straight because the rage has gotten to them and has turned them. And that's what's interesting. I've seen some hot takes on what happens with Karen in this movie, who's Laurie's daughter, and how, Karen was the voice of reason for both movies up until a point. And the moment that she decides, we're going to end this.
Yep.
She seals her fate in that moment and pays the price for it.
And that's why my question. If this movie is about rage, right? Okay. Then explain the revenge that Michael Myers exacts on the people that have taken pokes and shots.
I will tell you what I took from it, and it's great. I love good metaphor, and the entire film is talking about the reflection and how Michael was staring out the window. And that's what he did. That's what he did when he killed his sister. He was staring out that window and looking out at the town. And Michael, especially at the end too, when he stands back up after he should be dead. There's no way this guy. But
Yeah.
what? Hey, Peter. But you know what? He was fueled by their rage. Their own darkness fuels him.
Oh, okay.
The reflection is Michael. He reflects Haddonfield. And
Wow.
that darkness and that, mentality is what fuels him and gave him back his power.
So explain if that, I mean, since that's the case.
I mean, that's even the thing with Karen looking at the end.
Mhm.
Karen's looking in the window and she sees the reflection of Michael. He's there's a blank slate there. He's nothing. He is just pure instinct. There's nothing. Michael is a blank slate. He is the shape, and the shape takes the form of what it is around it.
The implication then is if you're nice to him, he won't kill you.
He didn't kill oh God, what's his name? When he ran into him, he walked away. The little kid. They show that.
Right, I remember. But
He doesn't kill the baby in the house.
True.
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 Thank you, David.
Hey, she's an expert. Forget acknowledge that. Okay? Yeah, she knows her stuff. Fine. Enough of that.
But I think that that's what they were trying to get across is Michael is the manifestation of the rage of Haddonfield, the bloodthirsty side that's all within all these little small towns that you see in places like Kenosha, and you see in places like outside of St. Louis, where you have those lunatics that come out with their guns. I'm gonna shoot you. Come on my property. The people that aren't doing anything, that are actually not bombing places or ransacking places, like the actual BLM people, for example, that are there to peacefully protest. The ones that come after them, with just revenge and hatred, he's reflecting that back. And that's a really neat way to use a horror film like this, to get people to think about stuff that you don't normally think about until after the movie's over, and then you're like, ooh, that's what that was about.
Yeah. And I didn't see, and I told you this, but I'm going to repeat this for everybody else. My first exposure to Halloween was in 1980 as a freshman at Texas Arlington, and we went to the midnight movie, UTA, Hook Babs. Went to the midnight movie really because the sorority girls were there, in particular the Zetas.
He's honest, kids.
Dang right I am. I'm a full-blood American man. What are you talking about? Anyway, it's true. And in fact, there was a particular Zeta I was really interested in, but I'm gonna leave her name out of this. We were sitting, Reggie and I, in the next row behind them, not knowing what to expect. And really, this gets to what I'm saying. Jamie Lee Curtis' comment about the internet giving you pre-expectations, right? We didn't have the internet, folks. We had zero idea what to expect. Nothing. We didn't know. All Reggie and I knew was it was the midnight movie. The Zetas were in the house. We were happy. It was crowded. It was packed about 120, 200 people, something like that. And we were not prepared for Halloween.
Mm-mm. That's how it should be.
And thank you. And so that entire movie for us was, the Zetas yelling like, ee! And we're like, oh, nothing happened. Oh, something did happen. Okay. And to this day, Halloween is the single movie that, even though I've seen it before, it haunts me in a good way. What I mean by that is it makes me wary of my surroundings at all times. It
Yeah.
makes me, it makes me consider what could go wrong at any particular time.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
I have this basic desire to kick Michael Myers' butt. I didn't say kill, I said kick. Just the gratification of beating the shit out of somebody that would do the kind of things that he does. And so in life, I keep kind of thinking, I'm really like mentally prepared, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm ginned up. All right. I've been holding this in. You're talking about the movie Halloween. I've been holding this in for 40 years. All right.
yeah. Well, and the thing that got me about Halloween Kills is like, I know I've met these people. I've met these guys. I've seen this as a movie. But the thing with this one, like even the first one, it didn't got it, the 2018 Halloween, I didn't even get me this hard. This particular movie is so brutal in
Yeah.
the way he offs these people, just brutal, ugly, gritty, long deaths and uncomfortable. Like even these characters that are throwaway characters, really, but you care about them. Like
this.
that scene, that particular scene, man, that just was rough.
Yeah.
And it's just how brutal Michael is. And it's the first time like I was really creeped out. Like I'm watching this in a blackened living room that could be a house that he could just show up in like he does in the movie, you know.
You remember this, but I remember the one from the first one when he's watching this couple have sex, right?
Oh, you're talking about the first one.
Yeah. And I'm thinking like, okay, and then afterward, he actually seems to get a kick out of what he does later. And I'm thinking, okay, this guy's got Arrested Development, obviously. But I just
Well, I mean, you remember about that's how he killed his sister. Which, by the way, guys, if you don't know, the first time you see Michael Myers on screen, the hand in that's a woman. That's Deborah Hill. Deborah Hill played Michael Myers before anybody else.
You mean the hand in the car?
The hand, no,
From the top?
in the beginning when he is a kid in a clown outfit and kills his sister, that hand is Deborah Hill. When you see the hand coming down and doing this, the first time you see any bit of Michael Myers is Deborah Hill. God rest her soul. She is the woman.
Wow. Things you didn't know that you now know.
Deborah Hill. Goddess.
How are we doing in time? Because I know we got to get your med.
Yeah, thanks. Tell everybody he's got to go get drugs. I got 5 minutes. But yeah, Halloween Kills. If you haven't seen it yet, please go watch it. Fantastic film. It's just so timely. It's so timely and perfect for where we're at right now. It's uncanny.
How does Michael Myers die if he is basically an amalgam of our rage?
Who knows? Maybe maybe it will cost us the sacrifice of the amalgam of our heart and soul that is known as Laurie Strode.
Maybe Buster Rhymes comes back in Halloween.
Oh God, please no. No. I mean,
that'll be fitting. I mean, but Jessica, how cool would it be in a post George Floyd society to have a brother come back and just off Michael Myers?
He's just gonna crash through a door and say, "Trick or treat, motherfucker."
Absolutely. You know what he was saying? Yeah, absolutely. So you know what? This is
I've lived through that already. No.
And he gets say something like, "This is for George." He had nothing to do with George, right?
No. Don't do that to George Floyd. He went through enough already. But yeah, no. I think it's going to end up. It's going to be a sacrifice of Laurie, and that's the only way it'll work. And it's called Halloween Ends for a reason.
Because she ends?
The whole thing's ending. That's it. Halloween Ends. The final. I don't think they're going to come back. I know. I don't think Jamie Lee will do another one. I mean, she didn't have to do this. So,
I just have to. Have you ever asked? Have you ever wondered why there's certain weapons that we've never seen used? Like I've never seen him shot by an AK-47. I have never seen him sustain a hand grenade.
oh, he got his hand blown off in Halloween 2018. That's why his fingers are missing. Because he got she shot his hand off.
He shot his own hand off?
No, she shot his hand off. There's like fingers missing now on one of his hands. Like this one. I think it's this one. Yeah. She got him. Yeah, she got him.
Oh, so basically she was supposed to get him. In 2018, that's supposed to be it.
Yeah, and it didn't work. She made the whole house a trap. That was the whole thing. And it didn't work. And the reason
to the fire part in Halloween 2000 Kills where he's in the fire.
Yeah, that's what happens at the end. She sets the house on fire. It's all a trap. But
he survived it.
Yeah, and the thing that's crazy is the fact that they make it very clear in the new movie in Halloween Kills is that it wasn't about Laurie at all. She just was collateral damage like everyone else. He had a goal, and she was in the way. And
what was his goal?
His goal was to go to his home. He was going home, and
he was going home to kill.
Yeah, he was going home to kill and going home to home. The Myers home. And that's what happened in this movie. He was going to the Myers house. The reason that Laurie got involved again was because of the crazy doctor that became obsessed with Michael. He brought her. He was trying to prove his theory, so he took him to Laurie's house.
I'll bet you the home is finally destroyed because,
Well, no, it's still standing at the end of the movie. He's in it. He's in his house.
But I'm saying, and for Halloween Kills, I'll bet you.
Yeah. They probably will destroy the house. I'm guessing because that's where it all started.
Yeah, I mean, all like negative energy there and all that stuff, and
but yeah, that's what I think. It's going to end up being. Laurie's going to take him out and take herself out at the same time to save her granddaughter. And it's going to be horribly sad and epic, but it's going to probably be the only way it can end.
Well, folks, this is 15 minutes of greatness. We'll upload it by Friday.
Absolutely loved about this movie and about what it did and it kind of galvanized was the strength of women and also the fact that you are up there kicking ass and being an icon. I mean, I have your action figure now. I have a Laurie action figure.
Do you have it with you?
I have two. No, it's upstairs in my office. It's in my office. But you can look it up online. I can find it.
To have that happen and how it really kind of just encapsulated a moment and how Halloween Kills kind of continues that because it definitely sounds like it's now Judy and her daughter in the film taking up that mantle, showing what they did in the first film and just being badasses themselves.
This is it. There she is. There she is right there. That's my Laurie Strode.
Oh, right here. Oh, a second. Let me get it.
Look at that. Look at that figure. Look at that figure.
I don't think any of us were born.
Can I enlarge this?
We're born babies. And we learn
There you go.
through trials and tribulations.
Oh, Laurie Strode action figure? Or how is that what you wrote? Okay, hold on a second.
How to live.
I'm sharing the screen.
Trials and tribulations at a very young age.
Hold on a second. Let me get it. I'm trying to get a bigger.
Violence.
I'm sharing my screen.
Oh, you're sharing your screen. Hold on a second.
Fear.
Well, I was trying to. Oh, it's like that. See, folks.
Obsession.
Yeah,
I want to
got it pulled up.
Galvanizes.
I want to get it bigger. Hold on a second.
I've got. You can look at mine.
Yeah, I'm looking at yours. I got it here.
To trauma.
See?
And,
That's not my screen though.
It isn't? Wait, this is. Wait a minute. This is you, right? Hold on a second. Hold on a second, Jamie. Okay, so that's your screen, right?
Hold on a minute. Let me do this.
Excuse me. And then there's this screen, right?
Hold on. Let me see if it'll let me do this. 1 second, guys.
Okay.
Share
Because it's got
screen.
one of 4 panels, and I was trying to go so I can get the,
There. There you go.
Thank you. Whoa, that's cool.
Yeah, it's badass.
That is cool.
Yeah, I love this thing.
That is cool.
Look how much it looks like her. NECA does good work.
Well, you talk about details.
Yeah.
She's got the guns.
Yep. And she's got Michael on the floor.
Is that from 2018?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. All right,
Nice.
guys, I have to run, but thank you so much. This was a blast. Thank you guys for sharing us, joining us. And yeah, check out Halloween Kills. It is amazing. And check out the interview when Zennie has it up.
Hey, folks, stick around. Jessica in the background. Subscribe to Zennie62, and please bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com. In fact, since I say that, in honor of our esteemed guest, I have a presentational gift, as I'd like to say, that to show to everybody. And if I've got this right, and I believe that I do, and I do, voila. Excuse me, that's the wrong voila. Is the right voila there. You see on the left.
Look at us. There we are.
That's right. So you can see this right here. It's going to be right there for another 2 days. And so go to oaklandnewsnow.com. That's all you got to do. When you go to oaklandnewsnow.com, which, as you can see, is here, and scroll down. You click on the ads too. That makes us money, by the way. Scroll down.
Everybody needs a custom pillow, me.
And all you have to do is, and then you could click on it, right? Okay. Close the ad, and then voila, right? And here, past it in that wonderful photograph, ta-da! And then you want to watch it, press the button, and who do you see? Here, past.
We're incepted.
Right there. Isn't that cool?
It's very cool.
So you can listen to the greatness in multiple dimensions. See how that works? Of Jessica.
On that note, I'm going now.
Ton of fun, folks.
Thank you, guys.
And check it out. Jessica, stick around in the background. Folks, thanks a lot. We'll see you tomorrow. That ends